Okay, my friends, welcome to How to Feel in Control Around Food. I am Kisa. I will share a little bit more about me, but I just want to say welcome to this workshop. And I'm really excited to have you guys here and to share my experience and knowledge with you to help you feel in control around food. And yeah, that's what we're diving in today is how to feel in control around food. So I'll be sharing strategies to help you feel in control around food so that you can walk down the ice cream aisle at the grocery store and not have all the food drama on whether or not to get it, right? Like, ooh, it looks really good, but I shouldn't get it, but it's so tasty, but oh, it's fattening, it has lots of sugar in it, it's gonna make me fat. All that mind and food drama. I want you to walk down the ice cream aisle and just be like, I can either leave it or take it or leave it. Doesn't matter. I want you to be able to attend a gathering and have a beautiful cake sitting in front of you without feeling anxious about eating it and feeling like you will overeat it if you just have one bite. I want you to be able to just notice the cake and maybe like, oh, it's pretty. Like, I love the decoration if it's like beautifully decorated, and then turn your attention to maybe talking with somebody who's sitting next to you. I want you to be able to drop the guilt and shame around eating off-limit foods and embrace curiosity and compassion. I want you to feel empowered about the choices you make around food and not feel like food is controlling you, but you really have the power. And I want you to say no to foods without feeling deprived or that you're saying no because you have to, like, oh, I have to say no to this because it is X, like it's fattening or it's not on my diet or it's off limits or it's a bad food. I want you to say no to foods because you genuinely want to. Like, yeah, I don't feel like ice cream today. It's totally fine, right? And this is all possible for you when you follow the strategies that I am sharing with you today on how to feel in control around food. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Kisa Amaro. I am a health and mindset coach, and I help women get control of their cravings without deprivation or complicated meal plans. And I'm also the host of the Lose Your Cravings podcast, where I share tools and strategies to help you lose your cravings and feel in control around food. I am a yoga teacher, which has really helped me bring awareness and mindfulness to my eating habits, which in turn has helped me feel in control around my food, and really have compassion for myself through the process. And I'm also a mother to Antonia and a wife to Austin. So the big why. Why do you feel out of control around food in the first place? The feeling of being out of control around certain foods can really stem from a variety of reasons, both psychological and physiological. So the first one is emotional eating. We might turn to food as a way to cope with emotions, such as anxiety, stress, sadness, or boredom. That's a big one, right? We don't really realize boredom is an emotion, but it is. And this emotional connection to food can lead to overeating and a perceived lack of control. And our body has this innate desire to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and do what's easiest. And when we are feeling uncomfortable, AKA stressed, we seek out food to help us feel better. Right?
Your slides aren't advancing.
Oh, they're not. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
Are you
There
sure?
you go.
Okay.
It just is the Y slide.
Okay. I just had to like click on it for it to advance. Maybe I'll do that for
just
now.
tech support here. Sorry.
Thank you. That's why I need you, Cindy. So yeah, who can relate? Can you relate to that emotional eating component of like why you feel out of control around food? I have some heads nodding. Yes. Yeah, we tend to eat when we're bored, lonely, stressed, sad, agitated, frustrated, sometimes even when we're excited, right? Or happy, like that can be an emotional eating too. So when this happens, we really feel out of control around food. And it's only because you haven't learned how to process and allow these uncomfortable emotions, right? So once you're able to allow and process your emotions, then it helps you feel in control around food. So then we have societal and cultural expectations. So societal and cultural expectations often really emphasize things like body image, beauty, thinness, and can contribute to this feeling of inadequacy. And this in turn may lead to disordered eating patterns and having an unhealthy relationship with food, and difficulty maintaining like a balanced way of eating. So we really feel pressure to conform to societal standards, which really leads to dissatisfaction with our bodies, right? We're trying to like keep up with the Joneses, so to speak, or keep up with the supermodels, I guess, or the Instagram models. I don't know. And it really affects our eating behaviors. So diet starts because of this dissatisfaction with our body. Like we usually start a diet because we don't like the way our body looks, right? We want our body to be different, be lighter, smaller, leaner. So we restrict food in order to do that. The only thing is that diets don't work, my friends, for the long run, right? Which brings us to the third reason why we feel out of control around food, and that is dieting and restriction. Strict dieting or overly restrictive eating patterns can backfire, and this triggers intense cravings and overeating when these like bad foods, these off-limit foods become available, right? We restrict, and then we overeat. And this is when we find ourselves in what we call the binge restrict cycle or restrict binge cycle. We restrict food to lose weight, to fit into societal norms, and then we binge because we've been restricting food. And this cycle of restriction and indulgence can create a sense of feeling out of control around food, right? Next is overexercise. And this relates to both the societal norms or societal expectations and dieting, intense dieting. We want to change or manipulate our body. And so we believe that the more we work out, the more weight we'll lose. However, this just isn't the case. I have worked with so many clients who are over-exercising. They come to me, they're over-exercising. And when they reduce their exercise and shift the way they exercise, find a way that works for them and that they actually enjoy, they feel so much better and they feel in control around food. Now, over-exercising, basically it just increases the stress response on our body. So we're adding to the stress. And it increases your hunger because you're burning more calories and therefore your body's like, I need more energy. Which we're usually on a diet, right? So we're restricting food. So we ignore those internal hunger signals, those natural hunger signals, and we don't feed ourselves enough nutrients to fuel our body. And then in come the cravings and feeling out of control around food. Okay. Okay, did it advance?
Yes.
Okay. Gosh, wait. Okay, so let's look at things that you have tried to feel in control around food. You can either leave it in the chat or you can just share out loud. Like, what are some things that you've tried in the past? Because I know Cindy and Sharon have both worked with me. So let's talk about the past. What are things that you have tried in the past to help you feel in control around food?
All of the above.
All of the above.
I've been on so many diets, like, I've put, the Scrooge to shame because he only had 3 ghosts. I have about 20.
Well, I have not over-exercised. I can honestly say that. But I have done most of the rest of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And usually these are things that we've been told to do or taught to do by diet culture or peers or our family. And I know for me, I just thought I needed more willpower in order to not eat the food and feel in control around food, like bread, ice cream, and cookies. So I restricted foods depending on call it the diet du jour, the diet of the day. Whether I was eliminating fat, carbs, sugar, dairy, grains, gluten, you name it, right? Whatever you're eliminating, there was some sort of diet that I was trying. And these very restrictive diets just led to overeating the very foods I was trying so hard to stay away from. And it left me feeling like a failure when I couldn't stick to a diet. Left me feeling defeated and hopeless. And over-exercising is also a way to feel more control around food, right? Like the way, or like a thing you can do to try and feel more control around food. I think we've all been told this, that the more you work out, the more calories you'll burn, the more healthy foods you'll crave. People have told me you'll want to eat healthy because you're taking care of your body through exercise, and you'll want to take care of your body through nutrition, right? Like, which sounds logical, right? And I think in general, that's like, yeah, like when we exercise, we're going to want to take care of our body. It's showing love for our body and self-care. But once again, I turned that into, okay, let me just work out more and more and more and more, and then I won't crave sugary foods, or I won't crave ice cream, and I'll only crave healthy foods. So it backfired on me. And there's a difference too between exercising and over exercising. Like, exercising is wonderful and great, and moving your body in ways that serve you, that's definitely going to support you, but it's the over exercising. So when I was over exercising, it was just causing me stress and my cravings to increase because I was restricting food at the same time. I was increasing my energy output and I was decreasing my energy input. And then there's the negative self-talk, right? I thought that I could hate myself thin. That if I was mean enough, it's like the drill sergeant, right? The drill sergeant, if I could hate myself thin, or if I was mean enough to myself, that if I said negative things to myself, this would motivate me to stick to my diet and stick to my workout plan, right? Who's been there? I just like the drill sergeant. But these negative thoughts didn't help at all, right? In fact, they perpetuated the very cycle that I was trying to get out of, that binge restrict cycle, really leaving me feeling out of control around food. And then there's the white knuckling through cravings, right? So what I mean by that is, like, when a craving would come on, I would resist it so hard. I think of like white knuckling it through. I would resist it, right? I was white knuckling it through my cravings, trying so hard not to give into them, doing anything. And this never worked. And I like to compare it to trying to hold a beach ball, those blow up beach balls underwater, right? Have you ever tried to do that, hold it underwater? Like, you can do it for a little bit, and then it gets really awkward and weird, and it tries to like wobble out. And then eventually it'll pop up out of the water, like super high into the air. And that's what happened to me. Like my cravings, I would just go off the deep end and I'd feel completely out of control around food. Okay. So I want to bring this point up of how feeling out of control around food affects you. Have you ever really stopped to notice how feeling out of control around food affects you and your life? Not just your weight, not just like your eating habits, but all areas of your life. Feeling out of control around food can have very significant effects on different areas of your life and just your overall wellness. And so the first thing is your emotional well-being, right? So feeling out of control around food increases anxiety and guilt. And these continuous battles with food choices can really leave us with like that heightened anxiety. It's like walking down the ice cream aisle and kind of being scared to walk down it because I'm like, like I don't want the ice cream, but I do, but I don't, but I do. And so we have that anxiety and like that persistent feeling of guilt if we do eat it. And this impacts our overall emotional stability. It also creates stress and frustration. The constant struggle with food decisions can contribute to increased stress and a sense of frustration. And then our physical health. So over consuming of certain foods and the lack of a balanced diet can result in nutritional imbalances affecting our physical health. And then there are digestive issues, right? Like when we overeat food, it can lead to bloating. It can lead to digestive issues, which are not fun at all. And they can add to the stress that you're already feeling from maybe restricting the food and then overeating it. So we're just layering stress on stress on stress. And then what about mental health? So a perceived lack of control around food can contribute to negative body image, and body dissatisfaction, low self-esteem, and an unhealthy relationship with food may lead to disordered eating, such as binge eating, emotional eating, or restrictive behaviors with food. And difficulty in managing food choices may result in a decreased self-confidence, and just like general satisfaction of your life. And then we have social and personal relationships. And the stress associated with food-related challenges might lead to social withdrawal and potential isolation. So often we don't want to attend social gatherings because we are afraid that we will overeat the food or there will be nothing there for us to eat, right? We're like, oh, like, I don't know if I should go. Like, will they have the right food for me? Is it going to be gluten-free? Is it going to be paleo? Or like, there's going to be so much dessert there. Like, I don't know if I'll be able to control myself. And so we sometimes isolate ourselves or we don't socialize with people. And these struggles with food can affect our relationships, especially if these social interactions are around food. Like we go out to eat, or we go out for drinks, or we're going to like a potluck. And we can also feel pressure from our partners to eat foods that don't necessarily align with us. And then lastly, I want to talk about our quality of life. So this constant, preoccupation, thinking about food and our food choices can really take out the enjoyment of social events and everyday activities. You avoid, like I said before, you avoid activities due to the worrying about what food will be there. Will I be able to limit myself? Will I overeat? And maybe I don't attend those functions. And when you spend all of your time obsessing about like what to eat, what not to eat, how much to eat, when to eat, you are taking up so much brain power, right? There's so much brain power and energy, and you're ignoring these other activities and other experiences that can bring pleasure to your life. Right? I kind of joke around that, with all the brain power I used on dieting and exercise, I could have cured cancer, right? Like There's so much brain power there.
Mm.
And now the reason I point these out is because I want you to fully understand the impact of feeling out of control around food, that it doesn't just affect like, oh, what I eat, but it's affecting our emotional well-being, our physical health, our mental health, our personal relationships, and our overall quality of life. Okay. So who is ready to feel in control around food?
I am.
Yay. Okay, my friends, let's get to it. Okay, so I have 3 strategies that I'm going to share with you today. And these strategies were game changers for me and game changers for my clients. The first one is practicing mindful eating. Some of you may know what mindful eating is. You're aware of it and you practice it. Some of you, this may be a new term. So what is mindful eating? It's when you slow down and use your 5 senses to take in information about the food we eat. We look, smell, taste, hear the sound. Like when you're chewing the food, what sound does it make? And you feel the texture of the food in your mouth when you're chewing. We turn off all distractions like TV, phone. You can put it in the other room. You don't have to turn it off, but just put it in the other room, put it on silent. And we really savor each bite, getting satisfaction from each bite. And when we practice mindful eating, we allow the natural signal of our body to engage. So letting our stomach and brain work together to recognize when we're comfortably full, right? We're able to tune into our fullness. And when we're mindful and present with what we are eating, we are less likely to overeat. When we're overeating, we're trying to get away, to escape, to avoid. And this is when we do this, we avoid those natural fullness cues. We avoid the pleasure that comes from paying attention to all the senses in the food we're actually eating. So I invite you to choose a meal where you turn off all distractions, sit down at a table and eat, right? Not standing around, but you actually sit down at a table. And I want you to take a moment just to look at your food before you even start eating. Look at your food. Notice the color, what type of food it is. Notice the aroma, like what is the smell? If it's really hot, is there steam coming off of it? And then I want you to take one bite. Put your fork down and chew it at least 20 times. And while you're doing this, I want you to notice the flavor, the texture, the temperature. And then swallow the food and notice it going down your throat. And then take a breath and check in with your stomach. Okay, your stomach is right under your rib cage. It's like kind of like where your rib cage meets under your sternum, right there. Okay, how does it feel? Is it full? Is it still hungry? I'm assuming after one bite, you'll probably still be hungry, right? But we're going to do this after every bite. And then repeat this process until you're comfortably full. Okay. Now, do you have to do this with every single meal you eat? No. But what happens is when we start to practice mindful eating and we slow down, and it's like we're very like deliberate about it, we start slowing down in all the meals we eat. Okay, we start taking our time, we start noticing the food, and we start taking in the food with all the 5 senses. So practicing mindful eating will help you slow down and really feel in control around food. Any questions about mindful eating?
No.
I know, Cindy, you practice it.
I do, but I'm still not very good at it.
Like I said, you practice it, right?
Yeah.
And it's
I do notice I enjoy the food more when I pay attention to it, as opposed to watching the TV while I'm eating.
Because when we're watching TV, we're like fixated or focused on like what's going on the TV. What are the characters saying? What are they doing? Getting a dopamine hit from that. And we're ignoring what's going on in our body. We're ignoring those five senses, which is how our body takes in information.
And you do go slower when you're paying attention to what you eat, as opposed to just watching TV and keep doing this. So.
For sure. Yep. You slow
Mhm.
down, which is going to help your digestion.
Listen.
Little known fact, like most people eat too fast, and that's why like sometimes just by slowing down, we can help alleviate some digestive issues.
I mean, paying more attention has decreased my reflux a lot, so maybe I can get off of this med
Oh, that's awesome.
next month. So that would be cool.
That's awesome, Cindy.
Let's get off my meds here.
Get off your meds year. Yeah, you've gotten off the top. Just awesome. Okay, let's look at the second strategy for you to help you feel in control around food, and that is change the way you think about food. This is revolutionary, my friends. So, do you see foods as good or bad? When you see foods this way, it only perpetuates a negative feeling when you eat a bad food, a food that you think is bad. Since these foods are quote unquote bad, they only create this desire for them, right? Because we always want what we can't have. You believe you need to stay away from them, but you have a strong desire for them because they're bad. And when you give into your cravings, you feel guilt and shame for eating them because they're bad foods. You believe you are inherently a bad person for eating these foods. Okay, so I'm going to tell you the hard truth. There are no good foods or bad foods. Food is neutral. It didn't wake up one day saying, I'm going to be bad today, right? It's just molecules put together to create a substance. Now, when we let go of this idea of good food and bad food, our desire for specific foods lessens. So our desire for that bad food lessens. So another change around the way you think about food is to promote curiosity. Curiosity and then self-compassion. So letting go of guilt and shame around your eating habits and really embracing curiosity around your eating habits. Like, why am I eating this way? Okay. When we embrace curiosity around eating habits, we drop the guilt, we drop the shame, and we're able to see our eating habits as really neutral, right? Not as something bad, not as us being inherently bad. And with curiosity, we can look for solutions. And I actually just got off a call with a client right before this, and we were talking about this very exact topic about coming from this place, because she's worried about the weekend, coming from this place of curiosity. Like she can make a plan. We said, like, you can make a plan. You can have like the best plan and make one that works for you. But if for some reason you don't follow through, instead of having that negative self-talk, get curious. Like, I wonder why, right? I wonder why I ate that extra piece of pizza, right? Or I wonder why I ate a sleeve of Oreos last night. Okay. What was going on for me? Did I eat enough food during the day? Was I stressed? Was I frustrated? Really getting curious and having compassion for yourself will help you really find that path to feeling in control around food. Okay, number 3. This is one that you may push back on me, and that's okay. I want you to let go of food restrictions. This strategy is huge when it comes to feeling in control around food. Now, I know you're probably going to say, but Kisa, if I don't restrict food, I will overeat all the food. And I totally get it. I thought this would happen to me too. So let's break it down. So this goes back to the we want what we can't have, right? When we are overly restrictive of food, like I'm not eating ice cream, I'm not eating sugar, I'm not eating gluten, I'm not eating X. Guess what? We crave that food. We crave it. By restricting the food, we create a feeling of desire for the food. And this desire grows, and it's like holding that beach ball underwater, right? Eventually, like we can do it for a bit, but eventually it shoots up into the air like wild and crazy and all over the place, and you don't know where it's going to land. So our cravings come back with force and we feel out of control around food. And when we are stuck in the binge restrict cycle, we are in an all or nothing mindset. We are either really good with our food, meaning like we eat 100% on the diet, on the meal plan, but once we falter just a little, like have some ice cream, we feel like we have failed, that we have ruined our diet and the progress we have been making. And in turn, we overeat, right? So when we let go of the all or nothing mindset and find a balanced and sustainable approach to eating, we find peace and control around food. So I want you to think of restrictive eating as a sprint. Yes, you start off really fast and you put all your effort into the sprint, but you run out of steam fairly quickly and you have to stop. It's not sustainable. You can't sprint for the rest of your life. Balanced and sustainable eating, on the other hand, is like a marathon or a long distance race. You start with a jog, at least I did, and you pace yourself for the long run, right? You're not like sprinting off the start, right? You pace yourself for the long run. You stop and get water and electrolytes, and you eat food along the way. It's one amazing thing about running a marathon is you get to eat. And I want you to do this with your eating. I want you to pace yourself. Think of it as a marathon. It's not something we're in a rush to get to. When you let go of food restrictions, you foster a healthy mindset and healthy habits for long-term success and really feeling in control around food, right? You don't have to white knuckle it through resisting your cravings, but you mindfully choose the foods you want to eat. And guess what? Sometimes you're going to choose ice cream and sometimes you're going to choose a salad, and that's all okay. Right? It's all okay. So dropping the guilt around foods you eat, letting go of restrictions and mindful eating will help you relax around food and ultimately feel in control. Okay. Does anybody have questions about this concept of letting go of food restrictions and how you can actually do that?
No questions.
Okay, so I wanted to share some resources to help you dive deeper into these strategies. And like I said, I'm the host of the Lose Your Cravings podcast. So I have 3 episodes. I'm actually going to put it into the chat. If I can find, there it is, the chats. I'll put the URLs in there. So I have mindful eating. So it's going to give you more information on mindful eating. Episode 7, allowing emotions. So I talked about like the white knuckling versus like allowing. That's going to help support you with that. And then episode 16 is good foods versus bad foods. So I go deeper into this concept of good foods and bad foods. So yeah, head on over to the Lose Your Craving podcast. You can find it on most any podcast app. Yeah, just search Lose Your Cravings if you don't have. I'll put this in the email that I send out for the replay too, so you'll have the links in there as well. So I want you to feel in control around food, my friends, right? I don't want you to have to white knuckle it through resisting your cravings. I want you to mindfully choose the foods you want to eat. And like I said, sometimes you're going to choose ice cream or cookies. Sometimes or a beer. Sometimes you're going to choose a salad, right? I know Cindy loves her beer, so I got to throw that in there.
I do.
That's one thing that she like. I remember when you came to us, Cindy, and like you were used to like not like if you're on a diet, you didn't drink beer, right?
Correct.
And now are you drinking beer?
Yes, I walked to the microbrewery.
She walks to the microbrewery. I love it. It's so amazing. So like Cindy can attest, like you don't have to give up your favorite things. You don't have to be restrictive in order to reach your goals. Okay. So I want you to drop the guilt around foods that you eat. So whether, like I said, the ice cream, the beer, whatever, let go of the restrictions and practice the mindful eating. And this will help you really relax and feel in control around food. I want you to walk down the ice cream aisle and not have all the food drama on whether or not to get it, right? You can take it or leave it. I want you to attend a social function with a buffet. Oh my gosh, a buffet, and feel at peace around food. Know that you have a choice, right? Like, this is my choice to eat this food. And whatever food I eat, I'm not going to feel guilty about. I want you to enjoy a brownie at a holiday party. And I want you to actually sit down and eat it mindfully and enjoy the heck out of it. Okay. I want you to feel in control around food. And you can do this. Practice your mindful eating, change the way you think about food, and let go of food restrictions.
That mindful eating is so interesting. I was having a piece of pumpkin pie without the crust. It wasn't Dennis's crust. And I took 2 bites and I realized I was just gobbling it. And so then I slowed down and got the texture and the flavor and really, really enjoyed it instead of just gobbling.
Yeah. And I love that you like were in the moment, Sharon, like noticing like, oh, I'm kind of gobbling this down, and you were able to just like stop. Okay. Like you didn't feel bad about it. You're just like, okay, I'm going to stop and I'm going to enjoy the rest of this pumpkin pie. Yeah. So awesome. I love it. Okay, so I would love to hear what is one insight or takeaway from today's talk, or what's one thing that you will do to help you feel in control around foods. You can either put it in the chat or you can just share.
I have to continue working on mindful eating.
Okay, yeah.
Exactly what I was thinking too.
Okay.
I eat slowly, but I'm not necessarily paying attention.
Okay. Yeah, and like I say, like practice mindful eating, right? Like it is a practice. It's like learning a new instrument, a musical instrument, right? We're gonna kind of suck at first, and it's gonna be a little and a little uncomfortable. And that's okay. Like that's part of the learning process. That's why we practice. So just
and being consistent about it.
Being consistent.
Yes.
I mean, it's one thing to say, oh, I'm going to do mindful eating today. Then I do it. I'm like, oh, yay, look at me go. And then the next day I'm like, watching reruns of NCIS and, eating. It's like.
So oh, go ahead, Sharon.
I like Cindy's idea of walking to the microbrewery. Unfortunately, I live on a very treacherous highway.
Yeah,
that would not do it then.
Yeah,
that would be safe for you.
Yeah, park away from it and get into town and then park and walk. That's a good plan
to do that.
Yeah.
And then Cindy, to speak to the NCIS versus mindful eating, would you just spend 5 minutes of that meal mindful eating, or 2 minutes before you turn on NCIS, can you just spend 2 minutes looking at your food and taking a few bites, and then you can turn on NCIS and enjoy the rest of your food with the NCIS.
And yeah, do I? Not often. I find sometimes if I actually turn the TV off and just have music playing, it's easier.
Okay, there you go.
I
Start
pay more attention to food.
Yeah.
And I learned a long time ago with music that it's important that it's not something fast and exciting. It's
so
something
you gobble your food down.
Yeah. I was eating to the rhythm.
Okay, calm music, something calm or mellow, or just, not too upbeat. Sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, not as calm as going to yoga, but
Right.
Yeah.
No, we don't need it. Yeah, perfect.
I don't want to fall asleep on my food.
No, you want to be awake.
I'm also an NCIS fan, big fan.
We're everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. I love it.
Hmm.
Okay, my friends, are you ready to feel in control around food so that you can walk down any aisle in the grocery store and not feel the pull of the tempting foods? And the reason I always come back to this is because that was such a personal experience for me, is the aisles with like the ice cream or the cookies, and not wanting to go down there because I was scared I was just going to like grab the food and put it in my cart, right?
I still skip the pretzel aisle.
You still skip the pretzel aisle?
Because they're in the house, I eat them.
We can work on that, Cindy. We can work on that.
You know, I love pretzels.
I know. So yeah, I want you to feel at peace around food and stop obsessing about it constantly. And if you're ready to make those changes, then I invite you to work with me one-on-one through my Transform Your Cravings program. In this program, you'll learn my 4-pillar strategy to feel in control around food and not let food control you. So know exactly what to eat, no matter where you're eating. Feel confident to show up fully in your life and all those areas of your life because you feel confident about your food choices. And if you are ready to solve this once and for all, then I invite you to book a call with me and we can chat about what you're struggling with, where you want to go, and how I can help you get there. It's completely free. It's a discovery session. It's completely free. There's no obligation on this call. This call is to see if we would be a good fit to work together, essentially, to see if you like me and I like you. Now my Transform Your Cravings one-on-one program, it's a 6-month program, and it's only $1,800 for 6 months or $300 a month. So we can break it into monthly payments. Let me pop. So what I'll do is I'll pop my Calendly link into the comments and I'll leave it on the replay as well. So you can book a call with me. Let me just find the comments for the chat. Maybe. There we go. But yeah, I'll put it in the replay as well. So yeah, if you're ready, book that call with me. It's just I don't want to say a super simple chat. It's a chat. There's no pressure, right? No pressure, right, Cindy?
Yeah, no pressure. None.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today in this virtual workshop where we are helping you feel in control around food. You have left with 3 strategies to help you feel in control around food. And this is where the real work comes, is right now. Like, you've listened to me share these strategies with you. And that's one thing. That's what I call passive action, like listening and taking in information. And then the next step is massive action. That's where you go out and you calendar into your day mindful eating. Okay. you work on your mindset around food. Okay. So yeah, have a wonderful rest of your day. It was so great talking with you, and happy holidays.
Thank
Yeah.
you. You too,
Holidays.
both
Okay.
of you.
Awesome. Well, let me stop sharing, and I'll see you all later after find the
All
unboxing.
right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.